All right, hey Vikings fans, welcome into another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
And I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer and talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, we do. And Evan, we have a new and really exciting addition to the Skolmand Center. I couldn't be more excited for it.
I'm super pumped to reveal it. I'm also pretty pumped about the beer we tried tonight. It's one we've had before, but it's just solid.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had it, but it's super good. I really enjoy it. Another thing I'm excited for is to see who's doing better on our one-on-one matchup in our March Madness Malort bet.
Yeah, and of course, we had to talk about the Vikings. A few more free agency updates recently. It's quieting down a little bit, but still some good stuff to talk about for the Vikings.
Absolutely, and we'll never not be talking about the quarterback position too. But if that all sounds interesting, go ahead and keep joining us for episode 131 of the Skol Hop. Skol. We just want to say thank you to show sponsor That's Badass Woodart for sponsoring today's episode. If you want to check out all the cool wood art pieces they have available, go ahead and go to that'sbadasswoodart.com and check out all the awesome pop culture, sports referencing, really anything wood art pieces in various sizes. I think you can get something as small as like half a piece of paper all the way up to really as big as you want for your man cave, your garage, your living room, really anywhere you want. And if you want to make a purchase, go ahead and get 10% off of that purchase by using our promo code SKOLHOP. And that is, if I could talk correctly, it's SKOLHOP, all one word. My goodness. You know what it is? I'm really excited, Evan. I'm really excited to show off something pretty big.
Should we do it?
Let's do it.
The grand reveal.
Oh, man.
There it is. You got to get the red tape off there. Merely for prop purposes.
Oh, yeah. So we have just, if you're only listening and not watching, we have just gone out with our old former Skol Hop centerpiece of our Skolmand Center, and you really should check us out on YouTube or Spotify or really anywhere that you can see us, because now we have finally revealed something we've been talking about for months now, our own That's Badass Wood Art piece. It's a giant piece. I think we went with like their extra large custom size, and it took quite a while, but it was time well spent. You can tell that Luis put a lot of care, blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, and it looks fantastic. I couldn't be more happy, Evan.
Yeah, the attention to detail is outstanding. Pretty much everything about our logo that we put on pretty much everything it's perfect. It looks great, and I like how the border kind of accentuates everything, and I think, looking at it on camera too, it really just makes it pop out. And I love the wood grain with the purple stain.
Yeah,
I think that, like, I don't know, just everything all together, it looks awesome. It's everything that I hoped it would be and more, and it looks pretty good.
I really feel like, too, I guess I don't know their whole process, but I feel like the color on the wood is more stain than paint.
Yeah.
Because you can still tell it's a beautiful piece of wood art. It's not just they cut out some crappy pieces of wood and really covered it up with paint and varnish and everything. Like, it's well done. I really like it, and it's something I'll be proud to show off for years to come. Maybe I'll even need to reach out. Full disclosure, Skolmand Center, it's in your basement. Maybe I'll need to reach out and see if we can get a copy piece made so that I can put it in my basement. I think the wife would be totally okay with that. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm on board with it if she is. That sounds great. Well, anyways, thank you to Luis at That's Badass Wood Art. He even sent us some stickers, which was really nice. I do like how they're a little reminiscent of Bass Pro Shops.
Yeah.
But we'll have to find a cool spot to put those stickers as well.
But yeah, if you're interested in any of the pieces that the designs he's already got up on his website, or even like us, a custom piece of anything you want, again, go to that'sbadasswoodart.com and use promo code SKOLHOP, SKOLHOP, all one word, and that'll get you 10% off any and all orders. And I couldn't be more happy with it right now.
Yeah, I'm pumped. It's awesome. We could probably just sit here and look at it.
Yeah, would you just look at it?
Just look at it. Look at it the rest of the night. But we've got other business to attend to. We started our bracket challenge.
We did.
Last week. I kind of peer pressured you into that. And so I figured we could take a little look here. I got to get my my screen recording set up here, but
yeah.
we'll take a look.
While you do that, Evan, we have made a critical error.
Oh, boy.
And it's kind of upsetting. Not upsetting, but it's concerning that you haven't noticed this error quite yet. You're looking at me. You're trying to figure out what this error is. Evan.
Oh, we need some beer.
Our glasses are empty.
We didn't have any beer last week. So
that's true. We had a dry episode last week, which was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, we had some life stuff happening, just logistically, and it's always fine to take a week off of any alcoholic beverages. But we're back, baby.
We are back. We're drinking Big Grove Citrus Surfer. Have we had this one on the show?
I think we have.
I feel like we have.
You know what? You can double check me here. Maybe if you can pull up the list of episodes as I'm talking. I was recently on another podcast, the former Mainstream podcast. They're currently the Bare Minimum show, and on that show, they had brought a couple of Iowa beers, and we ended up drinking a Citrus Surfer. And I brought up that I really thought we had it on the show, and I looked it up. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's Skol Hop, episode 94.
You're close.
Oh, 92.
92, yeah.
So if you go back all the way, currently you're listening to episode 131. So if you go back over 140 episodes, or right about 140 episodes, no, 40 episodes.
Yeah,
what am I doing?
Not that many.
To episode 92, you will hear our first official thoughts on the Big Grove Citrus Surfer. But I can't wait to try it again. Evan, you've had this one obviously before.
Yeah.
Do you think you've had it since we had it on episode 92?
I may have. I think my brother-in-law, Jason, really likes this beer. Okay. And he's brought it to a few family functions. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
Evan, I'm kind of concerned.
Why?
My
pour wasn't very good.
Well, I don't know if it's the pour or hopefully it's not the beer. But we'll try. Oh, mine already dissipated quite a bit.
It flattened out pretty quick.
Here we go. Skol.
Skol. Yeah, it's good citrusy beer. It's pretty low alcohol. It's like 4 or something.
4.8. So it's really high on the lawnmower rating. You could have quite a few of these either on or after the lawnmower. Careful if it's a riding lawnmower. 4.8. These are the pounders, the 16 ounces. So the 4-pack you can get in 16 ounces. I think they make them in 12 ounce 6-packs as well.
I think so.
But yeah, this one is kind of it's a citrus wheat ale. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Citrus wheat ale. It's kind of Big Grove's Blue Moon.
Blue Moon, yeah.
Yeah. It's not just a straight up copycat of a Blue Moon. Blue Moon is pretty unique. Hopefully if you ever have one, you should know like, oh yeah, that's Blue Moon. It's really good beer. But Big Grove, they just put maybe a little bit more love and care into their beers because they're a smaller operation than Sam Adams. Not Sam Adams. Who makes Blue Moon? Is it just Blue Moon?
I think Coors owns Blue Moon now.
A good company, but Big Grove, they can afford to put a little bit more care and effort. So Citrus Surfer, I like it a lot. It's always one that I will be happy if somebody hands me a Citrus Surfer.
It's got a little bit of lemon to it, not a ton, and it's not like a summer shandy where it's like lemonade. Yeah. It's just there's like a splash of lemon in there, which is good. And what else does it say on the can? Blood orange.
Yeah.
So that's probably where you're getting the Blue Moon vibes a little bit, is the blood orange. But yeah, all in all, super good beer. I like it.
Yeah. Thank you, Big Grove, for brewing such a great beer. And thank you to Evan's wife, who I believe picked this one up from one of our favorite Hy-Vee locations.
She did. She actually surprised me. I was like, oh, we'll have that on the podcast.
Nice.
All right, now we can officially get down to business.
There we go.
We have the
did
beer.
things.
We've got the Woodart. All is good in the world. Except for your bracket. Your bracket's not doing
It's
so
not too bad, Evan. I'm definitely not purposely tanking my bracket just so that I have to take a shot of Malort. I would totally not do that.
All right. Well, you can see, we're going to put this up on the screen here. You can see my bracket is titled Ever Loyal. I took that from the University of Northern Iowa's fight song, and those words still ring true even though they lost, because I'm still ever loyal.
Yeah, they lost.
It was bad.
Was it St. Thomas or
St. John's?
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
the Johnnies.
Rick Pitino.
Yeah, that was a... I didn't watch that game, much of that game. I was watching the Iowa game, but I did turn on, I pulled up the score after just a few minutes, and it was something like 15-2. I was like, oh.
I got off to a really bad start.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. I was frustrated to no end at the beginning of that game. Anyways, my bracket, ever loyal. I did have you and I in my bracket beating Kansas to go to the Sweet 16.
Which Kansas did lose.
Which Kansas
in the round
lost.
of 32.
Which got me a little bit of vindication, but I was still very upset that you and I lost. I think if they could go back and redo a bunch of stuff, they would, and they'd play a lot differently. But anyways, I picked North Carolina to be my national champion. They're out. They were out quickly.
Yeah,
that
first
was bad.
round, right?
Yep.
To VCU, whoever they are.
Yeah, Virginia Commonwealth.
I think I asked you that as I was putting my bracket together.
And VCU ended up losing in the second round, so they're out. But anyways, you picked Michigan as your national champion.
I did.
But if you're looking at the screen right now, you can see I've got more points than you
so far.
But
I have more potential points.
You have
on
more
the board.
potential points. Yep, you've got 1,280 points left. I only have 1,020. So. Yeah, neither of us are performing great at this moment, but you know what? That's okay. Are you looking at your bracket?
I have my bracket pulled up.
So
yeah.
Who's in your Final Four? Let's just remind the viewers who your Final Four is.
All right, my Final Four, if I can read this right, looks like...
It should be right. Go down to where it says Michigan in the middle.
Final Four looks like Louisville and Iowa, and then Michigan and Purdue. So, yeah, and I ultimately have Michigan and Louisville in the national championship, with Michigan winning and a total score of 135 points in that national championship game. So I've got Iowa in the Final Four, which, I mean, logistically is not that far-fetched. They just need to win... 2 more games to get there? Mm-hmm. They're in the Sweet 16 after beating Florida in a pretty exciting game. Iowa had the lead for most of the game, and if they weren't leading, they were only down by a point or two. And then at the last second, literally in the last 10 seconds, they went from down 70-72 to hitting a 3. Fulgaris, I think is his name. He took, they inbounded it, made one pass, and then another one to Fulgaris, who made a wide open 3 to pretty much ice the game with 4.5 seconds left. Don't get me wrong, guys. That is the second Iowa basketball game I've watched at all. Not even full the way, at all, within at least the last 5 years. That includes men's and women's. So I will not pretend to be a diehard basketball fan or Iowa fan, especially basketball. But it is pretty exciting when my favorite college of choice, even over Northern Iowa, has had such success. I'll probably end up watching all of the Iowa-Nebraska game, unless it turns south real quick. Then I'll probably find other things to do. But for me, it is pretty exciting, and I have no problem saying that I'm a bandwagon, fair weather Iowa basketball fan. It's pretty fun right now.
So you've got 3 of your Final Four teams still in it, right?
Correct, yeah. I think that's where you're going before I went on that whole tangent.
No, and that's all right. Yeah, so I'm in the same spot. I've got Arizona and Michigan on one side of my bracket. They're both still alive. And then I had North Carolina and Duke on the other side. Duke is still alive. North Carolina's out. So we're both sitting at 3 of 4. 75% of our Final Four teams are still in it. So
and I think the kicker for me is the team that I picked to win it all is still technically in it, right? That would give me the most points.
Yes. Yep. And then I had North Carolina, of course, but I think I had Arizona playing them. I don't remember who I picked. and it doesn't let me see that on here. But anywho, that is the update for our bracket challenge. So you're trending towards having to take a shot of Malort at this point.
That would be so terrible, Evan.
But by the time of our next recording, next week on Monday, we'll be through the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. So we will know who's in the Final Four. And that'll give us a clearer picture of who's probably going to win this bracket challenge.
Is there a way for us to fully know who wins our bracket challenge by then?
No, because, we could have I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words. It could be pretty clear and obvious.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. But it's that old quote. You gotta play the game.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
So, theoretically, I could end up with 0 points, and you could end up with 0 remaining points, and you still have 50 remaining points or whatever.
Okay.
So it's clear that you're going to win. But yeah, it won't be final until the national championship.
Sweet. So. Well, I'm excited. This is pretty fun having a one-on-one matchup in this March Madness challenge here with just a little bit of skin in the game with a Malort shot. And I joke, I just like I had to admit many episodes ago that I actually do like sour beers. I think I can easily say now I can enjoy one shot of Malort. I'm not one that's going to be sipping on a bottle of Malort all night by any means. But one, I can do one. I can enjoy one.
You can do one bottle.
One shot. And if you said, hey, I made this really cool mixed drink and the featured alcohol is Malort, I'm not immediately going to say no.
What cocktail could you make with
I don't know.
Malort?
Maybe our listeners can tell us a recipe of something that features Malort that actually tastes good.
Dandelion flower salad drink. That's what I would call it.
All right. Well, maybe you just invented it. So we'll work on that.
Well, let's talk Vikings for a little bit. We've got a few more talking points, not a ton. This last week wasn't as busy, I feel like, as the previous few weeks have been. But we're heating up towards the draft, too. I think we're
draft,
a month away.
Yeah, it's 1 month away. Maybe just in actual number of days. 1 month away from today. So, yeah, we're not far at all. It'll be pretty exciting. The Vikings have a lot of options they can do, and it's kind of interesting because they still technically don't have a full-fledged GM. So we'll see how this draft goes.
Rob Brzezinski's the GM. There's no reason why he won't be the GM.
I think it was Brevin Bain on Twitter that said something like, all right, guys, I'm coining it now. We're going to call Rob the Brizness. Giving him the Brizness. So I thought that was
funny,
pretty
actually.
good.
That's pretty great.
But
hopefully we give him the Brizness in the draft.
And hopefully that's not another meme. Hopefully it's not the
the JJ McCarthy.
Meme. Yeah, the 9 meme or all of the funny memes that have come out about Kyler Murray, being a little kid,
the mini
riding his
soda
bike.
Vikings.
Yeah, the mini. I haven't heard that one. That's funny.
That one was all over last week. I don't know how you avoided not.
I think I just must have just taken a few days off of embracing the memeness there. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Brizness. Maybe we can unleash the Brizness on the league during this draft. But
how do you spell Brizness? Is it BRIZ?
Let me see if I can find Brevin's tweet.
The Brizness.
Because it was pretty funny. It's gonna take me a minute. We should maybe move on until I'm able to actually find it.
I'll just sit here and drink beer till you find it. It's fine.
All right.
How do you spell Rob Brzezinski?
BRZ something.
BRZEZINSKI. He's got 2 Z's in his name.
Yeah,
that's wild.
That's got to be. I actually in my phone went to the keyboard and just did a word replace with BRZ to have it spell out Brzezinski's name correctly. All right, I found the tweet. I'm just going to retweet it now. He spells it the Briznes, the BRZNESS. So as you would
the Briz
expect. But yeah, he said, I don't know how no one has said this yet, but I'm officially planting the flag on calling Rob Brzezinski the Briznes. So maybe we've totally killed it here in the last minute and a half, but I still think it's funny. Not a ton of Vikings news, like you said, since we recorded last. I can't really remember if Johnny Hecker.
No, I think he was a new signing since we recorded.
Yeah, so
last week.
If you don't know, Johnny Hecker, he's a long decorated NFL punter. He has earned all pros in his career. Apparently, he is a fantastic field goal holder, which is very important when you have an all-pro kicker who has only ever had one holder in the NFL. And then, Will Reichard, the kicker, loses that holder in Ryan Wright, who got a pretty good punter contract with New Orleans. So, yeah, Johnny Hecker comes in, and, I don't know much about him other than he has been a decorated punter in his career. I don't know recently how he's been. I don't know if this is good or bad. We'll see. I guess you can never go wrong with someone who has had success at that position. So,
yeah, he was the league leader in punts and punt yards and yards per punt back in 2015. He led the league in punt yards in 2016, and he was either a Pro Bowler or got votes in the AP poll for 6 straight years from 2013 to 2018. So he's definitely on the older end of players in the NFL, but if you're a punter, you come out for one play every once in a while. It's not like you're the quarterback, taking hits play after play, or the running back. So the longevity's good there.
Yep.
And exciting that the Vikings will have a solid presence back there. And punters can change the complexion of the game in good ways and bad ways. It seems like he only really ever does good things for the teams that he plays for. So
yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm pulling up his contract right now. It looks like, if this is to be believed, his contract is for $1.4 million with 1.6 signing bonus. $160,000 signing bonus, and then a total guarantee of almost 1.2. So I was going to pull up his contract and say maybe he's not guaranteed too much, and he could beat out. But when his contract is almost 1.5 and his total guarantees are almost 1.2 million, I'd venture to say that unless he totally and completely looks terrible or can't figure out how to punt a kick in camp, he is your new Vikings punter. The only thing is, I still would be a fan of the Vikings bringing in an undrafted guy to punt in the off-season program and training camp, because everybody benefits from some competition no matter how guaranteed their spot looks. But yeah, given that most of his contract for this 1 year is guaranteed, I'd be a little surprised if he wasn't the full-time punter this 2026, which, again, I don't know too much about him other than he's been an award winner in his career. So let's go. And I think we have spent the appropriate amount of time on the punter position so far.
Yep. What about the rumors surrounding D-Hop? What are your thoughts on that? And do you think it would be a good addition to bring DeAndre Hopkins in? Would it mess with the chemistry of the wide receiver room? Would he adequately replace a Jalen Naylor?
I guess I don't know how DeAndre Hopkins has been playing in the last couple of years. But obviously his name comes with a lot of respect throughout his time in the league, multiple-time Pro Bowler. Trying to pull up his stats right now. I probably should have had that up anyways. Who was he with most recently? Was it Baltimore? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely a guy that, when it's all said and done, he'll be talked about for the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he'll quite get in, but he'll definitely be talked about. 13,000 yards, 85 touchdowns. He was with Baltimore last year, Kansas City the year before, Tennessee the year before. So he's bounced around quite a bit. Fun fact, if you don't already know, there's a UNI connection to DeAndre Hopkins.
Really?
It's a long walk for a short drink of water, but Hopkins was famously traded to Arizona, and as a part of the package that was included in that, Arizona sent former UNI Panther David Johnson to Houston.
I remember that.
That trade was a very, very highly talked about and speculated about for Cardinals fans, for Texans fans, because at the time David Johnson wasn't really the David Johnson anymore, and DeAndre Hopkins was still playing pretty well. So the reason we're talking about it now is I think Hopkins recently, in the last few days, did an interview or was talking to somebody with, I think, TMZ, and somebody asked him, like, oh, what do you think about Kyler Murray in Minnesota? And he basically said, like, yeah, I think it's cool. If Kyler Murray, wants to reconnect a little bit, he knows that I'll be there, and if the Vikings want my help, I'll be there for them. So that's it. That's the extent of the speculation. I don't know. You
got to quote DeAndre Hopkins directly. What did he say?
I already got rid of the quote.
Oh, come on.
I did.
It was too good.
Maybe you can find it, but either way, as you look for it, pretty much Hopkins was like, I'd go play with Kyler Murray again, and there'd be a good connection again. So as far as how I think it would work with the team, I don't know where he's at anymore. He had 330 yards with Baltimore last season. He started 3 games. I don't know, maybe if his lack of play so far last year was due to injury or just opportunity. Admittedly, I haven't kept up with him. But Evan, did you find the quote?
I did. He is quoted saying, "If Kyler need me, he know I'm there. If the Vikings need me, they know I'll be there."
All right. So, and maybe that was just one of those, like DeAndre would say, give a similar answer to any team. Like if the reporter had been like, "Oh, would you ever want to play for the Bears?" He probably would have been like, yeah, if somebody wants to give me a job, I'll play. Either way, it sounds like he's still open to playing. And nothing about that said he would only be open to playing with Kyler Murray, but I'd be okay with it and let, competition play itself out in camp. You mentioned, would he be an immediate replacement for Jalen Nailor? Maybe, depending on how old he is. I think he's going to be 34 during this season, 33, 34, so getting up there. But, if you can still catch a ball and run around, I'd be okay with it. He probably wouldn't cost very much contract-wise. But also, I might be more apt to putting some resources into maybe a younger prospect who might be with the team for longer and be more of a help. But good play is good play no matter how young or old they are. So I'd be okay with it, but I wouldn't be heartbroken either way.
Well, the Vikings are sitting at $9 million, just a little over $9 million in cap space, which is better than they were going into the offseason. They were like 40-something million over the cap.
Yeah.
And so now they're under the cap by $9 million. They've got a little bit of wiggle room. They still have to pay those rookie contracts.
Yeah.
And they have a lot more draft picks than they have in the past, which is a good thing. So,
and importantly, talking about the draft or the cap space too, sorry to cut you off, but to my knowledge, they haven't done anything, at least publicly, with Brian O'Neill's contract, which could both lock him down for more years beyond 2026 and free up some cap space for 2026. Mm-hmm. They haven't. There's a few other moves they could make. People have noticed Jonathan Grenard's social media posts in the last day or so, specifically his Instagram stories, and they're very Vikings heavy and him in a Vikings uniform heavy, and people are obviously taking that to mean oh, did he sign an extension and he's just super excited about it. So an extension could pay him more even now and in the future while also freeing up some cap space now. So there's a few moves the Vikings could move that they haven't done yet to potentially open up a little bit more money for 2026. But also the team and owners may be a little wary of putting too much into the team right now, just for the fact that they don't have a GM. They're probably taking things a little slow. And even if Rob Brzezinski, the business, ends up being the full-time GM, they might be playing things a little smart and kind of focusing on keeping the future as open and available as possible, because I would think most people would look at the Vikings right now and say they have a team that could compete, but it's not one that is guaranteed. They're right on the edge, and they just need to punch the gas pedal until they finally get to the Super Bowl, because we know they're right there. They're just not right there yet. So, never know.
Yeah. Well, I would tend to lean away from DeAndre Hopkins, I think, just because of his age. And looking at his stats for the last couple of years, he hasn't started a full season since 2020.
Yeah, and he's been on a different team every year since about that time too.
Yeah, so I think his super productive years are gone, and he's still got talent, obviously, but he'd probably be more of an Adam Thielen, where you'd get a handful of games out of him at the end of his career, and that's it.
Yep.
Or he'll be the guy that waits around until week 10 and figures out, okay, which teams are making a run. Okay, I'll sign with them because they could make the playoffs, you know.
Yeah. For me, I definitely agree with you. I feel like I'd be more apt to completely wait and see how the Vikings are doing, and then if Kyler wins the job, which I would say he's like 99.9% sure to win the QB1 job at this point. If he wins the job and things are going well, and then you have an injury to one of the wide receivers, and you need to kind of fill that room out a little bit more, bringing in a guy that Kyler is familiar with wouldn't hurt. Now, if they have an injury to like Justin Jefferson and they've been hinging on Jefferson, then you'd want to bring in a talent that's higher quality at this moment than DeAndre Hopkins, because you'd want to fill those Justin Jefferson shoes. But yeah, I think you're probably right. Maybe kind of hold off and wait and see how the season and the first month or so of the season plays out.
And I think a lot of fans out there are going to hear the name and think, oh, big name, yeah, bring him in. And they're going to think, oh, yeah, he's got all this chemistry with Kyler Murray because they played together in Arizona. Well, you got to dig a little bit deeper than that, right? Like, you can't just take that at surface level. And I admit I was that fan at one point where I was like, oh, that's a splashy name.
Yeah. And
I'd buy into these rumors, and then you think about it a little bit and you're just like, oh, actually, no, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, the management should not be racing to sign contracts like that.
Yeah.
So, all that to say, interesting rumors. I'm skeptical at this point that we'll see D-Hop wearing purple.
At least in Minnesota. He might go back to Baltimore. I don't know.
He could, I guess.
And to that point, too, I would be surprised to see any other splash moves from the team this season. I think the longer we've gone without a Jonathan Grenard trade away from the team, the less likely a trade like that is to happen, unless a team gets super desperate in training camp and loses a high-end edge rusher. Maybe the Vikings would be open to hearing that. I think, yeah, outside of the draft, you're probably not hearing the Vikings make any more like ESPN headline news moves, and I'm perfectly okay with that, unless there's something like a huge injury and the Vikings feel like they need to make a big signing to fill the shoes of a guy like Justin Jefferson or Christian Darrisaw or something like that, or if a big name player becomes available at a very low price, a la Kyler Murray, something like that. But I think the the big moves are all going to be internal. Like, oh, they're going to announce the depth chart, and we're all talking about who they list as QB1, or maybe they'll trade away a big name player, but I don't really see that happening either. So that's fine. Although, as two guys that host a Vikings podcast, staring into the darkest times of the off season, that's not super exciting. We might be reverting ourselves back to the who's the best to ever wear this number for the team kind of topic again, but that's okay. We'll find stuff. We always do.
For sure. You dug up a pretty good article from friend of the show, Dustin Baker at Vikings Territory, talking about the 4 biggest losers of Vikings free agency. And I would maybe add on to the title of his article, so far.
Yeah.
I mean, free agency isn't done yet. But like you just said, it's probably over. Like, there's probably not many other big things that are going to happen. But who are some of the names in this article, and why are they important?
Yeah, so we can kind of go through 4 through 1, and those are as important, in order of importance. Number 1 being probably the most splashy name, and 4 being the less splashy name. But so far, his 4 biggest losers, this is Dustin Baker's 4 biggest losers of free agency, are cornerback Dwight McLaughlin, however you want to say his name, kicker Will Reichard, which will be interesting. We can kind of talk about that. We've already kind of talked about that a little bit. And then quarterbacks Max Brosmer at 2 and J.J. McCarthy at number 1. Evan, can you think of any reason why Dustin Baker would list Dwight McLaughlin as one of the biggest losers of Vikings free agency here in late March?
Well, I would think it has to be connected to the fact that the Vikings signed James Pierre.
Yeah.
Pierre. I don't know
how you
pronounce that. But that had to be pretty bad news for Dwight McLaughlin, who was, I think, pretty far down the depth chart in terms of cornerbacks. He didn't really see a lot of playing time. I remember being really excited about him in preseason. And I think there was a lot. I think there was some hype. I don't think I was just making that up. Like, I think we might have even talked about it after watching one of the preseason games before this season. Like, oh yeah, he could be a guy to watch.
Yeah.
And that position was still kind of uncertain because the Vikings had watched like Cam Bynum leave and some other. I feel like there were a couple other people that left, but anyways, he looked promising early on, and he just never really produced anything. And Byron Murphy played well this last season, and you made the point, I think, in a recent episode about how cornerback is one of those positions where if you're not doing a lot of intercepting, as long as your name isn't being brought up, you're probably doing an okay job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if people aren't talking about you, it's probably a good thing for the most part. Because if they are talking about you, it's because you got burned on all these routes, and people are catching balls left and right over you, and you're allowing the opposing offenses to really be productive. So all that to say, I think Dwight McLaughlin kind of was living in the shadow of Byron Murphy and didn't really get a lot of opportunities. And then when the Vikings went out and signed James Pierre a few weeks ago, that really was probably the nail in the coffin for him. Like, yeah, I might be off the team. I might be a practice squad guy, or I might be like the lowest on the depth chart. Yeah, moving forward. So.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, and it sounds like Dustin in this article totally agrees with you. Dustin's first point was that Dwight McLaughlin may have been on the verge of earning one of the 3 starting cornerback jobs between left side, right side, and then nickel. But then James Pierre kind of blew him out of the water for that. So James Pierre, he, even at his best scenarios throughout his career, has been borderline number 3 cornerback guy that in 2025 apparently played pretty well, and well enough to earn a decent 1-year contract from the Vikings. So now McLaughlin might be looking at best cornerback number 4, and that's if he doesn't get beat out by anybody else currently on the roster. And Dustin even points out the Vikings could and probably should make a draft pick, or even a couple draft picks, and maybe even another free agent signing between now and the beginning of the season at the cornerback position. McLaughlin reminds me, at one point, I think it was around this time last year, maybe right before the season, last season, you mentioned how the Vikings always seem to have like a running back that fans and the team are like, man, this guy's not RB1, maybe even not RB2, but this guy's got to make the team. He's flashing in preseason and training camp, and holy cow, the Vikings have a luxury of riches at running back. And it's always like this most recent year, it was
Xavier Scott,
and before that it was, you know, guys like Ty Chandler, and there's always a year where it's like, man, there's always like a running back that he could make the team and he could be RB2, and then, you know, at best he ends up, you know, barely scratching the team. It's like RB3 or 4 or practice squad. I would argue too, cornerback is another one of those positions, at least for the Vikings, that every year it seems like, hey, there's this guy. It's been Dwight McLaughlin. It's been shoot, I can't even think. It always seems like there's a guy like who's Ty Horn or something like that. There was a guy from Texas that he was like, oh man, he's the unsung hero of the Vikings defense, and get ready, you've never heard of him, but he might end up being a Pro Bowler here in the next few years. They always have one at running back, and it seems like they always have one at cornerback, but I don't know, up until recently, the Vikings haven't really had cornerbacks to talk about. I agree with you, and I think you just regurgitated my point about Byron Murphy, how I think you were even one of the ones saying, like, he's not really playing up to his ability, but I think I kind of convinced you, like, nah, we're just not hearing his name, but that's because they're not throwing his way. If you look at Pro Football Reference, Byron Murphy, his AV, which again is a subjective, there's a little bit of educational guessing there, but it's still a value of how good a player is. In 2024, when Byron Murphy made the Pro Bowl and earned, you know, his second Vikings contract and played really well, everybody would say, like, yeah, the Vikings have a cornerback. He earned an AV, average or approximate value of 11. And then the next year in 2025, when people are like, you know, Byron Murphy, maybe he's not doing so much, maybe it was a fluke, he earned an AV of 9. So like I think he allowed less yards as a pass defender this past season in 25 than he did in 24. It's just he got less interceptions.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when you look at the cornerback position, that's the sexy stat, right? Like, it's like, oh, how many interceptions did they have? Well, just because they had a lot of interceptions doesn't mean that they were great, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, interceptions are awesome, and they obviously can wreck a game real quickly, which is what you want. But they're not the end-all, be-all.
Yeah. I think the perfect example of that is a player by the name of Trayvon Diggs, brother to Stephon Diggs. He's a guy that in his second year in the league, 2021, he got, 11 interceptions. He led the league in interceptions, led the league in interception yards, got 2 pick sixes. He had a Pro Football Reference approximate value of 15 that year. The next year he had a AV of 9 with 3 interceptions, and he did a little bit better in the pass defense game. But then after that, he's played 5 years since then, and his AV is 1, 4, 2, and 2. Like, so 4 years. And he's not even on a roster right now. So a guy who many people were probably saying, like, oh, I guess, I don't know, did the Cowboys give him a huge contract after that? Give him the best money you can give him. He's a lockdown corner. He just got, I was going to say he got lucky with a few interceptions. I don't want to take away from that because he did get the interceptions, and that's not easy. But he had 1 year where he just seemed to get interceptions left and right. Outside of that, he's not a great cornerback. I would say Byron Murphy is probably a more well-rounded cornerback, even though he doesn't have the elite interception numbers in 1 year that Trayvon Diggs did that year.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with McLaughlin. I think right now he's still on the roster, but I think he's like hanging on by a thread, and probably is a non-Viking. If I had to guess, he's not going to make the 53-man roster. Even
if he makes it this year, I don't know what his contract looks like currently for the Vikings. He may not be a guy that makes it past his current contract. he does seem like one of those that at this moment is replaceable, and the Vikings showed that by signing a 1-year contract to a guy who's like 30 years old in James Pierre. So we'll see.
He's signed for just over $1 million, 1.075 million. So,
all right, the next up, the number 3 biggest loser, of the Vikings free agency is Will Reichert. Evan, can you imagine why a reigning All-Pro and probably, in my mind, one of the best kickers in the league right now would be listed on this list of biggest losers in free agency?
I think you brought it up. I don't know if we were talking before we started recording or if we actually talked about this when we hit record, but Ryan Wright is no longer a Viking.
Yep.
And to have the consistency of the same guy holding the football for you every time you go up to kick, a field goal that is, not a kickoff, that's a big deal. Like the consistency, the chemistry, the relationship, the trust, it's all there. And obviously Will Reichert is a very, very talented kicker, and he's young, and he's the sky's the limit for him. But I don't know when Dustin wrote this article. I don't know if he wrote it pre Johnny Hecker or post. But I would say if it was written post Johnny Hecker, then I wouldn't include Will Reichert on the...
It was written post Johnny Hecker.
Oh,
Dustin does include Hecker in this list here.
Okay. We've already you mentioned how solid of a holder Hecker is.
Apparently. That's what I've seen on Twitter, at least.
So I think, in addition to his prowess as a punter, you've got to trust his ability to catch a snap from Andrew DePaula and put it in the right spot, laces out, so that Will Reichert can kick the ball and get it through the uprights. If I'm Will Reichert, I wouldn't consider myself a loser at this point. And I'm not saying Dustin's wrong.
Yeah.
And I get where he's coming from. And, one half of your crew, the other half being Andrew DePaula, is gone, right? Mm-hmm. Ryan Wright is gone, and now you've got to start over with a brand new guy. You've got to build that chemistry, build that trust, work on those mechanics a lot, probably in practice. They're probably already trying to start some of that. So I get it from that perspective, but man, Johnny Hecker could be somewhat of an upgrade, I think, at that position. Like, the dude has held kicks for Super Bowls. I think he's won at least one Super Bowl with the Rams. Am I
think so.
Correct in that?
Keep talking, and I'll double check on that.
And that's not even talking about his punting ability. So I don't know. I think saying Will Reichert is a loser is a little bit of a stretch in this situation. Again, I understand where he's coming from, where Dustin is coming from writing that. But if I'm Will Reichert, I'm thinking to myself, man, we may have gotten an upgrade. We might have gone from, having the the basic trim level, like the STX Ford F-150, to upgrading to the Lariat trim level or the Platinum trim level. It's the same truck, does the same stuff. It's just all the bells and whistles are way, way better on the higher model, right? And usually it's the old guys that can afford the nice trucks because they have more money.
Hecker was with the Rams in both their 2018 Super Bowl loss and their 2021 Super Bowl win.
Okay.
And honestly, as I'm looking him up now, really everything since that Super Bowl win in 2021, he's kind of been average. As a punter
for punting,
ever since, which is shown by the fact that he seems to have been, he was with the Panthers and then the Titans, but he's been bouncing around.
Maybe the leg
since then.
Maybe the leg isn't there anymore, and I could see that happening.
But I did just say he's been with the Panthers and the Titans, two teams that have not been
great
teams since then.
Probably two teams that have required him to punt a lot more.
Yeah, that may come as a really big downer, because if you're required to punt a lot on a bad team, you could still show that you're great as a punter.
True.
Again, I haven't watched him. I'm not smart enough on Johnny Hecker to know like if he's an upgrade. I would venture to say he's probably a downgrade from Ryan Wright. Ryan Wright in the last season or so has proved himself to be one of the better punters in the league, after some up and downs in his career. But given the choice between Ryan Wright and Johnny Hecker right now, I think the Saints made the right choice in trying to keep Ryan Wright, or trying to get and sign Ryan Wright. So maybe a little bit of a downgrade, but hopefully Vikings don't punt so much that it's too noticeable.
Well, and hopefully Hecker's still consistent enough, and I would hope his experience is something that a younger Will Reichard can rely on in those, like, especially in those pivotal, like, game-deciding moments. Like, you got to go out and make this kick or we lose the game kind of situations. Like, hopefully Hecker comes in with some steadying influence. Not that Ryan Wright didn't. It seems like they were a pretty good team. But, I don't know. I'm going to be optimistic about Hecker coming in, and I'm going to chalk that up to his age, his maturity, his experience in the league, playing in some big-time games. So,
and I will say, too, a few minutes ago I was saying, oh, man, when almost all of Hecker's contract this year is guaranteed, if the Vikings, which they should, bring in some sort of competition, I think every team should bring in, at least 2 punters into camp every year, even if only to give their starter a little bit of a break in camp. But if the Vikings do bring in some competition, and for whatever reason, that competition, whether it's an undrafted free agent or whatever, maybe a draft pick, beats out Hecker, I don't think eating, $1.2 million of dead cap space as, a little bit of a consolation prize, like it sucks to eat that. I think that's okay if you find a better, if competition has bred better,
that's
punters.
Just cost benefit, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we drafted a kid and we know we're going to have to pay him we'll just say $1 million, because that's roughly what a rookie contract would be probably. So we're going to get a better punter now for $2 million, right? That's the all-in cost for the Vikings by eating the Hecker contract and bringing the rookie in. Like, okay. I mean, if we can make it work with the books, let's do it, right? It's a business. I don't have any sort of loyalty to Johnny Hecker at this point, like I've had with other Vikings players in the past. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely still on the table and could be something that the Vikings are looking to do. And I don't know, maybe we're sitting here in July talking about, that punter battle at camp, man.
This might be the last time we talk about punter until week 3 of the NFL season. Hopefully it's not something that we talk about all the time.
I feel like we've had at least one episode in the past where we spent like an obnoxious amount of time talking about Ryan Wright.
And I would venture to say we're getting to that amount of time right now.
Yeah, this rivals that for sure. For sure. But there were some other names on this list.
2 more of the 4 biggest losers,
and we'll just lump them together, I think, because they play the same position, and then they're in kind of the same spot, which is they're kind of in the doghouse.
Yeah. I think they can be separated a little bit, but I think one of them we can talk about in a couple sentences, and the other one, that's what we've been talking about for 3 years now. So,
so let's start with the short one.
Yeah.
Max Brosmer.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be a 53-man roster guy, especially with the re-signing of Carson Wentz. So last week we knew, when we recorded, we knew that Kyler Murray had signed with the Vikings. That was kind of the big news around the league. Yeah. It was one of the big free agency moves. Everybody was talking about it, and it was a big deal. And it's big because J.J. McCarthy did not live up to his reputation this year, and the Vikings need to do something at the quarterback position, and Kyler was arguably the best option out there in
Oh,
free
yeah.
agency. So that was big, but then quietly, Carson Wentz signed an extension with the Vikings, or re-signed with the Vikings.
Yeah, another 1-year deal.
Yeah, and that kind of was a powerful move, one that was maybe honestly bigger than Kyler Murray in some ways.
We can. I'll shed my thoughts on that here when we talk about the next player, but
not like. I mean, obviously, it wasn't exactly on the same level, but like I think the ramifications are pretty big, right? Because for a moment there, it seemed like I felt like Kyler could have come in. I don't think this will happen, but the possibility was there where Kyler would come in and be kind of like the Carson Wentz of last year, where he's the veteran guy that's brought in and he's kind of there to be that stable veteran presence, but also kind of camp competition and, kind of there as a security blanket if the floor falls out and J.J. McCarthy's terrible. And turns out the Vikings needed that security blanket because J.J. McCarthy, 1, got hurt early on, and then 2, didn't play very well. And so it was nice to have Carson Wentz. And he actually played better. He didn't win very many games, but he played better, arguably, than J.J. McCarthy did. And that was kind of what I initially thought about the Kyler trade, or the Kyler signing. I was just kind of like, well, he's not the greatest quarterback out there. He's a good quarterback. He's Carson
not Joe
Wentz.
Burrow, but he's also not Carson Wentz again. I think he's in a league way higher than Carson Wentz right now. But sorry, keep going.
Anyways, all that to say, signing Carson back, I think obviously changes the complexion of the quarterback room, and the initial depth chart, air quotes with the depth chart because it's not official at this point.
We won't see a depth chart until August.
But
from
I
the
mean,
team.
as of right now, on paper, Carson Wentz is QB1, Kyler Murray's QB2,
and that's via Ben Lieber, former
Right.
Viking, who is he said that, but he also gave some more context to that.
right? And I'm not trying to like overinflate that or make this into a clickbaity thing.
Yeah.
But again, it changed the complexion, right? And now where J.J. McCarthy was maybe the number 2, he kind of gets bumped down at this point, and that pushes Max Brosmer, I think, completely out of the picture. You're not going to have 4 quarterbacks probably at all, and your third quarterback, whoever he is, probably, I think at this point, J.J. McCarthy, is your practice squad emergency guy,
Interesting. Okay.
So it's all speculative. I'm still getting used to the news of all of this and processing all of it, and part of processing it is just saying stuff out loud. But obviously you disagree with me, and that's fine.
So just to kind of clear things up a little bit right now, we're still talking about the 4 biggest losers, number 2 being Max Brosmer. So the reason he's on this list is for what you just finished off saying. Right now, at best, the Vikings won't release an official depth chart until August, late July, whatever, in training camp at least. But right now, at best, Max Brosmer, of the 4 Vikings quarterbacks that are on roster, under contract right now, he is QB4. There's no way he's higher than J.J. McCarthy or Kyler Murray or Carson Wentz. He is QB4. So, here's what I expect the Vikings to do with Max Brosmer in the next calendar year. I expect him to stay on the roster. Unless a team offers to trade for him, and they could offer a 7th round pick and the Vikings might take it. They wouldn't have to offer much. But I don't think that would happen. I think he's going to be a Viking. He will be on the roster, and he will be released at the end of training camp and signed back to the practice squad, unless another team, again, either offers to sign him to their active roster or offers to sign him to their practice squad, and he views that other team, kind of like Jaron Hall in the last couple of years, views a different practice squad as a better situation than the Vikings practice squad. But unless he sees another team as a better situation, I think he'll still be with the Vikings on the practice squad, but he'll be with the team throughout all of training camp and off-season program and everything. Now we get to the rest of the quarterback room. The Vikings did sign Carson Wentz, and I think a couple of days ago we saw on Twitter somebody announced like his contract value, and he's essentially signed for 1 year, like $3 million. And another outlet kind of came out and said, like, oh, the Vikings didn't sign Carson Wentz for $3 million to be their QB3, which I think is kind of ridiculous, because in the grand scheme of things, $3 million for a quarterback, whether it's QB1 or QB3, is pennies. It is not much at all for a quarterback. Tom Pelissero, in the last handful of days, was on the Power Trip morning show. I think it was on this most recent Friday, March 20th or something like that. He was on the Power Trip morning show, KFAN, and they asked him, like, hey, what do you expect the Vikings QB room to look like after the Wentz signing? And Pelissero, his answer kind of is exactly what I agree with. It was basically, hey, the Vikings have had, with Kevin O'Connell, multiple years where they've had big injuries and muddled up confusion and different levels of availability at their quarterback position. And signing Carson Wentz to a measly $3 million is just insurance. Regardless of where he ends up on the depth chart, signing him gives you a competent, not the best, because both of us on this show have said things like Carson Wentz should never play another down for the Vikings. During the season, he holds on to the ball too long. He's not the athletic, mobile quarterback he was in his first couple of years, and he's definitely all of 34 years old right now. But signing him gives you at least a floor and a good solid foundation of a floor of the worst case scenario for your quarterback room, because QB1 is probably Kyler Murray or JJ McCarthy, whoever wins that job. And I truly believe it'll be a job between probably all three of those guys, but really just Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy. QB2, I really think, unless he totally S's the bed or the Vikings get you can't refuse this kind of a trade offer for J.J. McCarthy, QB2 is either going to be Kyler Murray or J.J. McCarthy. And I truly think Carson Wentz will be QB3, but he'll be more the veteran in the room and worst case scenario, and he'll still get a chance to earn a spot, and he may beat out the other two guys or one of the other two guys. But I think overall, when both at the end of the season, when both Kevin O'Connell and at the time their GM, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, did their press conferences and were asked about the quarterback position, both of those guys basically declined to name JJ their starter, but they also said, we want to build the best quarterback room possible. And I think without having to name a depth chart, signing Kyler Murray and Carson Wentz to add to JJ McCarthy, I mean, regardless of how it plays out, I'm not mad about that quarterback room right now in late March of 2026.
So what I hear you saying is you think those three are Vikings long-term, or like at least through this next year.
I don't know about long-term. I can't say anybody's a Viking long-term.
I shouldn't have said long-term. No, I didn't mean that. But like day one of the season, week one, whatever that is, September, whatever, those three guys in whatever capacity, in whatever order, Kyler, Carson, JJ, those are the three quarterbacks is what you are predicting. And
I'd even add Max Brosmer to that. Okay. All four of those guys.
Okay.
Barring injury or another team approaching the Vikings saying, hey, we really like X player. And they probably wouldn't trade away. They probably can't trade away Kyler Murray. I know he's got a no tag clause in his contract. I would guess it also means they can't trade him unless he says it's okay. I haven't seen anything like that, but I don't know why he and his team would be very worried about the tag and also not try to throw in the no trade. But either way, I think barring injury or another team approaching the Vikings with a can't refuse offer, all four of those guys, J.J. McCarthy, Kyler Murray, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer, will be in some version with the team throughout this upcoming season.
I'm going to disagree. And I'm going to make a hot take.
Let's go.
I think only 50% of those guys.
Who? Tell me who.
I think Kyler Murray and Carson Wentz are the two that stay. I think, I don't know, speculation,
sure.
Right? That's all we're doing right now. It's all we can do right now. The rumors have flown that KOC never wanted JJ in the first place. It was a Kwesi thing. Kwesi made the pick. Kwesi kind of overruled KOC in the moment. They picked him up. I don't know that KOC has a lot of trust in JJ McCarthy, and I think we saw that. Obviously, the Max Brosmer experiment failed and was not good. And I said it a little bit ago, and I'll reiterate: Carson Wentz played fine. Didn't play great. Didn't play MVP level, Super Bowl caliber, whatever. But he at least managed the game the way that KOC wants the game to be managed. And I think that's why KOC held on to him for so long. It was like, well, JJ's not ready, but they had Max sitting there. Like, why didn't they throw Max out there while JJ was still hurt? And we knew Carson was hurting, just wasn't hurt enough to come out of the game, you know? So I'm thinking the two most reliable, stable quarterbacks that KOC can build around stay with the Vikings. I think there's a small market, but there could be a buyer or two out there for J.J. McCarthy. And it wouldn't be as low as a 7th rounder for Max Brosmer, like you mentioned a little bit ago. It's not going to be a 1st rounder, but the Vikings could get something, I think, for J.J. McCarthy and get a little bit of a return on their investment, or at least save face a little bit with that and move on. And it would be the most Vikings thing ever if they let J.J. McCarthy go and he goes off and he's successful somewhere else, because we've seen that time and time again. It's a story as old as time. But if I know anything about KOC, he loves his quarterbacks. He builds everything around the quarterback position. He's going to try to find them, especially after this last season, he's going to try to find the most consistent, reliable, serviceable quarterbacks that he can build around. And I just don't know that those two younger kids are there. I don't think J.J. McCarthy or Max Brosmer met the threshold for what KOC is looking for.
Sure.
So that's a bold claim, a little bit of a hot take, but we'll see what happens.
Last thing I'll say on the QB position, at least for this episode, is as far as like number of quarterbacks the Vikings keep on the 53-man roster, not counting the practice squad, I think more than any other year, you're almost guaranteed that the Vikings are going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, just because they have been burned by availability and injury. It takes one throw where the quarterback jams his thumb into the helmet of a lineman and can't play anymore for you to totally derail your entire game. And if you have a guy whoever the backup of the 4 names that we've listed here is, I think other than maybe Max Brosmer you're not too happy about, but if Carson Wentz is your guy coming in as QB2 when QB1 jammed his thumb for at least a few plays, you can at least say, like, okay. And I think we undersold what Nick Mullins was to this team for a couple of years, where the joke was, all right, it's 3rd and 25. and the starter just went down because he tweaked his ankle, and we have to go with Mullins, count it as a first down. And during that time, I was saying QB2 is a legit position in the NFL, not just the next guy after QB1. QB2 is legitimately its own bona fide position in the NFL. And for that reason, I think backup QBs are something the Vikings are going to covet, because they've been burned in the last few years a couple of times by not having a solid backup plan, let alone how they feel about their solid plan A. So, yeah, I think because of that, the Vikings will, without a doubt, be employing 3 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster as much as they can help it.
Well, it'll definitely be interesting to see how the narrative around that shifts and changes over the next handful of months, and it'll be very interesting to see what we end up with in August and September, because it could be exactly what you said, it could be what I said, or it could be something totally different than either of us said, and that's just kind of the beauty of where we sit right now. We just sit here and armchair quarterback the whole thing, and kind of speculate on what we think and what we know. And
the beauty of that is everything we just said, both you and I combined, is just as valuable as what the quote-unquote experts are going to be saying about the Vikings on ESPN and all the other networks for the next handful of months. And the only difference is that even though the experts, quote-unquote, don't know any more about it than we do, they'll get paid exponentially more to talk about it than we will. So, that's the only gripe I have. Well,
I have 0 gripes about this beer. In fact, I'm a rich man tonight. This is a good beer. We've had it before, but it's an easy drinker, and it's not one where like you get tired of it after a couple. It's just like, no, I could have quite a few responsibly, of course. But you said it earlier, like it's a good summer beer. Springtime is upon us. It felt like summer here in Iowa on Saturday. It was like 85 degrees.
And that's after having like a foot of snow on the ground just a few days before that.
Yeah, we're on this roller coaster of spring in Iowa right now. And I know all about it because I have to sit outside at all these track meets coming up. So, but all that to say, Big Grove, you made a good beer here. Keep making this one. It's delicious.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They have a whole Citrus Surfer variety pack. There's a lime one. There's various flavors of the Citrus Surfer. Maybe we should dive into that category a little bit here in the near future.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. You got to tell people where they can find us.
Yeah, go ahead. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, especially. Also, give us a follow or subscribe or whatever it's called on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you could give us a review, reviews are great for maybe if you're the only one that likes us, but there might be other people out there that would like us, and reviews and likes are the perfect way for us to get blasted out in those platforms as well. Go ahead and shoot us an email if you want a sticker. We've got a sticker we can send you probably, and if you send us an email to theskolhop@gmail.com and let us know a good address to send it to, we will send you a sticker for free. Other than that, communicating with us, we are on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. There's a Blue Sky out there that, who knows, maybe that got deleted because we haven't logged on to it for a while. We do have a website, theskolhop.com. And if you think our logo is cool and you want to rep it, our TeePublic merch store is up and live. If you go to teepublic.com, I think just teepublic.com/theskolhop, you'll find our store, and we have no control over the prices, and admittedly, for every t-shirt we sell, we get $1 for it, so it doesn't really give us too much in the way of monetary value, but it gets our logo out there, and I really like our logo. I like wearing it, and we've got a ton of products out there too. So any social media, you can find us. We're pretty active. If you want to keep the conversation going, let us know. If you think we're idiots, maybe comment and then give us a 5-star review telling us how we could earn your 5-star review. So other than that, Ev, did I miss anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Other than the fact that our logo does look really good on wood
Yes.
as well.
Yes. Don't forget that's badass.com. That's badasswoodart.com. Promo code SKOLHOP, SKOLHOP. That'll get you 10% off any and all orders from there. And apparently, even though I'm a born and bred Iowan, whenever I say the word promo code SKOLHOP, and I didn't do it there, a little bit of Minnesotan gets in there too, because I apparently can't say those words together without going, oh. So,
oh yeah,
oh yeah, oh yeah, you betcha. But yeah, I couldn't be more happy with this Woodart piece. Luis, you did a freaking fantastic job, and the wait was well worth it. Can't be more happy just to display this on our Skolmand Center from here on out.
Yeah, great piece of art, great beer, great conversation.
Maybe best episode yet.
It might be.
Skol.
Skol.